right, so I am with Greg Sheets, and this is pretty cool because you've got a history with Speechless, Greg. And correct me if I'm wrong, were you the second owner of the boat?
The third.
So you were the third owner of the boat, and you purchased Speechless what year?
It was around 2012, or yeah.
2012.
Right.
So this is roughly 11 years ago, and it was a completely different boat.
Yes, it was.
I mean,
Yes, it
very
was.
different. So if you had to describe the boat, the style, whatever you would call it, I mean, obviously Blackwell built it, but it didn't look like what's behind us right now. How'd you describe it?
It had a house on it that was not very pretty. And
you told me so. You were like, any 40-foot boat that has a house isn't
very pretty because it's sized wrong for the size of boat. To make it work, it has to be too large.
Yeah.
And to make it look correct, it's too small and it's not usable.
So when you purchased the boat, the name of the boat was what before you? If you don't remember,
Naughty Girl.
What was it called?
Naughty
Girl. That's right. I think I saw the photo. Okay. So it's called Naughty Girl. And you got it, and you undertook this incredible project of essentially cutting off the pilot house and a whole myriad of other things. So exactly what was your vision? Because I saw the drawings as well, and we'll show those on the screen now, the drawings. But so you saw this. Did you know immediately before you bought it that you were going to cut the pilot house off? Or was it just a matter of like it just like how'd that all go down?
Well, we went to Maryland to look at the boat, which is where it was located, my wife and I. And we looked at it, and immediately when I saw it, I liked the hull, but and it was just an ugly duckling. But I decided right then that I was going to cut it off and make an express boat out of it.
Wow. So you cut it off. What specifically were the changes that you envisioned? Because you added teak to the stern area, and you completely changed like the dash, and I mean just so much.
Of course, I had a lot of thought in it to take the house off, make an express boat. Put teak covering boards on, totally changed the dash, changed the color of the boat, and add a few personal touches that made it feel like it was my boat.
So you have some familiarity, a decent amount, with just marine construction, correct?
I do.
What is that?
I built custom sport fishing boats for about 5 years.
About 5 years. So you had a sense for like, that's one of the reasons why you said, hey, we could change that up. We could do things differently. And it was interesting watching you because you were lifting up all the different like latches and stuff. And you're like, yeah, I mean, I
remember personally putting that particular piece on.
Yeah.
And changing this and adding that.
So the project that you had on Speechless, well, it was called, I'm sorry, when you had it?
When I had it, it was called Really Hooked.
Really Hooked, right? So when you had it, you got it about 10, 11 years ago. You anticipated the renovation, if you will, the change.
Right.
You figured it would take how long?
Well, I was told it would take about 6 to 8 months, but in my heart, I knew it would take longer than that.
Yeah.
But it took much, much longer than that, and was not turned in not very pleasant.
Yeah. So by the end of it, it actually carried on into years.
Right.
And so essentially, at that point, did you throw your hands up? Like, what went into the decision to say,
sell it?
Yeah, to sell it.
I had it had been in Maryland to be changed like we wanted for I'm somewhere around 4.5 to 5 years, and it was supposed to be done within a year, and it wasn't, which sometimes happens in the boat building industry.
It does happen.
So we brought the boat back home, and I had Jarrett Bay finished part of the hardtop, which was not finished, and then I had the majority of the teak and the repaints and finishing it like I wanted done at a boat builder called Lightning Yachts.
Yeah.
I got it back from Lightning, and we had a paint problem, and I won't mention the manufacturer, but it took several months to get an answer from them on the problem. And with 7 years invested and a little bit too much negativity in getting things accomplished,
Yeah.
I'd finally said, well, it's just not meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be. Well, your decision was a huge blessing for us, obviously, because the next owner had it for a very short period of time, and then of course the professor, Captain Ron, and I found it, and It's been a huge blessing for us. Now, was today the first time you've ever fished?
Today was the first time I've ever fished the boat. I owned the boat 7 years, and today was the first time I've ever fished, and I did catch a fish on it.
You did, and it was a very good fish. You got a great yellowfin. So, what was it like? Because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into the boat. And I know you put hundreds of hours into it yourself. What was that like? Was it a little bit of every emotion? I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was a little bit that way, as you said. I'm just thankful that someone's using it now that enjoys it, and boat worked great. I was pleasantly pleased and surprised.
Yeah, well, it did work great, and we were really, it's like the boating world, for those that are not familiar with this, it's much smaller than you would think, and people get to know these sport fishing boats, especially these Custom Carolinas,
right.
and it's like whole family tree of boats too. It's really, really, really interesting. But Greg, we're really grateful that you took a trip on Speechless. This was like a birthday event for you too. You turned
exactly.
How old?
77.
77 and still going strong and looking good. And he reeled that yellowfin in like it was nobody's business, like you were 57. So that's really cool. We thank you for making this boat look beautiful and changing it over, because I know Captain Ron, he never would have had no regular old Pilothouse like it was. And when we saw this boat the first time, we immediately fell in love. And ultimately, we fell in love with your design. So that was a huge blessing for us. And
well, thank you.
This boat's going to be seen by millions of people, and you had a big hand in that, so we thank you very much.
I'm just glad you're using it and enjoying it.
Well, we sure are. It was a good day on the Speechless with Greg Sheets.